After the destruction of the Jewish temple in 70 AD, the Jews never rebuilt a third temple during all those years. But why? I'm joined by Robert Mandelbaum, who's an eschatologist and Bible researcher. Robert, why was this? Why have the Jews never rebuilt their temple?
Well, thanks for having me, Chris. It's great to be here. After 70 AD, the Jews were scattered throughout all of the world, and there came a time when Jews were not even allowed to live or visit Jerusalem. They wanted, of course, to rebuild their temple, and thanks to the Temple Institute, which is just behind us, all the plans are already made. The sacrificial altar has been recently constructed. The priest robes have been made. Pretty much everything is ready to go.
Robert, help us understand, why is it so important to the Jewish religion to rebuild their temple? What is the significance of the temple to them?
Well, Chris, there's many important reasons, but the primary reason, the number one reason, is the Jewish people do not believe their Messiah will arrive until that temple is rebuilt.
This place has been a holy place since the beginning of the world and is, in essence, the center of the world. And we believe that the rock inside of the Dome of the Rock, which is called in Hebrew the Even HaShetiyah, which in English means the foundation stone, is the foundation stone of the world. That is the place from which God spread out the earth. Right now it's in the hands of the Arabs. We want to change that status to return the temple to its glory, rebuild the temple, restore the sacrificial service.
I believe that there will be a temple built. The Dome of the Rock will somehow be done away with. I have no idea. There's been plenty of earthquakes up there that could solve it. Saddam could, or not Saddam, but maybe someone from Iran could shoot a missile that gets off target and blow the Dome of the Rock. We kept hoping for that, by the way. I kept hoping one of Saddam's missiles would find its way over to the dome.
I don't know exactly how it's going to be removed, but it is not part of the end times as far as the Bible or Christianity is concerned. I don't think Judaism either. There's no place for that mosque. It has to be removed.
For the first time since the past 2,000 years within our generation, we are seeing these preparations for the rebuilding of the temple. They are training the priest. They have the implements in place.
There will be a daily offering in the morning, a daily offering in the afternoon, special offerings on the Sabbath and holidays, the Passover sacrifice. All of those will be brought again, and the future temple will stand forever.
The problem that you have at the Temple Mount is that possession of the Mount becomes interpreted as possession of the truth. And when people think that they have to possess a place to possess the truth, that turns that spot into the blasting cap of religious conflict.
Some who believe that if they want to start a temple again, they're even creating temple vessels. They're trying to get ready for the building of the temple.
Tell us who your former boss was. And the reason that we're not saying his name is out of respect for your service to him.
Yes. Well, I did a lot of chauffeur and bodyguard work for a lot of people, a lot of very important people. And he wound up being one of the people that I drove and bodyguarded for.
Right, and someone you knew and got to know.
Very well, yes.
Okay.
I realized he wasn't your average, everyday, big businessman. There was more to it. And I could tell by the way people came and talked to him, very deferential.
You told me that he went and met with the U.S. president.
Yes, he did.
Okay, you go to meet with the U.S. president, you get to be somebody. So where do you first hear that somehow the Spirit is involved with this man?
Again, powerful people tend to stay with each other and in social groups. And another very powerful person who was in government came, and he had his usual cadre of feds in their nice little cutout stamp suits and earplugs and talking into their sleeves. It was one of those security people who met me for drinks. He just started talking, and he started asking me just basic questions that I had the feeling he already knew the answers to about myself. And then eventually he said, so have you ever heard of the Spear of Destiny?
No, wait. Now we have to stop here, right? So, hey, how you doing? By the way, you ever hear of the Spear of Destiny? He drops that.
Pretty
So,
much,
okay,
yeah.
so what do you say at that moment?
I say, yeah, I know about it. So he said, well, what do you think about your boss and the Spear? Why would I think anything?
So now you're thinking about your boss and the Spear of Destiny, and what does he say?
He says, well, what would you think if I told you that he was the one who stole it from Hitler?
Yeah, your boss
Yeah.
stole the Spear of Destiny from Adolf Hitler.
Yeah.
That's what he drops in the bar.
Yeah.
The best bar story of all time.
When he said it, I just put my drink down and looked at him because I thought he was crazy.
And what did he say that made you think he wasn't crazy?
He started to tell me a story.
I'd love to hear that story. You know that's what we're here to do. Let's tell the story.
Well, he says, my boss was part of a group. They call themselves, what I was told was the B'nai HaNephilim, the sons of the fallen, disciples of Lucifer. And just so that you understand, they believe that the God of the Bible is evil. And they believe that Lucifer is good.
This is your boss's secret cabal.
This is their
believes
secret.
that the God that we all know is the bad guy.
Is the bad guy. That spear is the one that they believe when the temple is rebuilt in the city of David, their man, the person that they had handpicked, was at some point going to walk into the Holy of Holies, take the blade and shed his own blood, and then proclaim himself to be the Messiah. And then these sons of the fallen, they plan on ruling the world. They believe it enough to not only be willing to kill for it, they believe it enough to die for it.
And right now, they're trying to move in Jerusalem to make that new temple rise.
Yes.
So that this next coming happens.
Yes.
And that they will have, therefore, control of this world.
Yes.
Now, the key thing to me is you don't believe that Lucifer's the good guy in the story.
No.
You're not trying to tell us that all this happened, but you're saying that whether it's true or not, it doesn't matter. But the idea is that these people still exist today.
They still exist today.
They're still out there now.
As far as I know.
Authentic Torah Jews around the world declare that the state of Israel is a Zionist state, not a Jewish state, and likewise the name Israel is a hijacked name. In this issue now, they're attempting to declare sovereignty over the Temple Mount. I must awaken the world to the fact that the Jewish people have been living in the Holy Land in peace and harmony for hundreds of years, together with the Muslim people, with the Palestinian people. And the chief rabbi of Palestine, around 100 years ago, the Rabbi Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld of blessed memory, pleaded with the world that we do not have anything to do with the Zionist attempt at that time to have sovereignty over the Temple Mount. And I'm going to quote a letter from him. A letter, it's called Divrei Shalom Ve'emes from Rabbi Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld, and this is his letter. We have this letter in a book called The Rabbis Speak Out, and he lived from 1848 to 1932, and now I'm going to quote him. The Jews do not want to take in any way that which is not theirs, and they certainly do not want to contest the rights of other inhabitants to the places held by them which they regard with honor and consider holy. And in particular, there is no foundation to the rumor that the Jews want to acquire the Temple Mount. On the contrary, ever since that time, because of our sins, we lost the purity required by the Torah. It is forbidden for any Jew to set foot upon the grounds of the Temple Mount. This is Letter of Truth and Peace in 1929. This was then before the Zionists had control, full control, unfortunately, over the Holy Land.
The Jewish prophet Daniel in Daniel chapter 9 prophesied that there would be a world leader that would arise and would confirm some type of a covenant that would bring some measure of tranquility to the Middle East. Even now, as wars are raging in Yemen, Libya, Syria, Iraq, Saudi Arabia is involved, this would bring about some measure of peace to this situation. And it would then also allow the Jews to rebuild their temple and begin their animal sacrifice once again.
Now, I want to underline that the rebuilding of the Jewish temple is a very important milestone in the sequence of end-time events. And there can be many interpretations of Bible prophecy, who the Antichrist is, when he's going to come, even whether we're living in the end times at all. But when the Jewish temple is rebuilt, then we know for sure that we're in the last 7 years. And we lock in to a very definite sequence of events as foretold in the books of Daniel, Revelation, and many other prophetic passages in the Bible.
Yes, the temple's very significant in end-time Bible prophecy. It's where the Antichrist finally declares that he is God, tries to bring about the end of the worship of the true God. It's also where he places what is known as the abomination of desolation, spoken of by Daniel the prophet and quoted by Jesus in Matthew 24.
This abomination of desolation, or the image of the beast, as John calls him in the book of Revelation, do we know what it is, or what it's likely to be?
Well, there are those who have speculated, and rightly so, that it could be some type of supercomputer combined with what the transhumanists are now pushing forward, as well as changes in the genome system. Science is putting it all together. Never before in world history that we know of has it been possible to track every man, woman, and child. But the Bible does talk in Revelations 13 about the mark of the beast, the famous 666. And somehow this abomination of desolation, it is what is going to be able to put that into practice and try and force people and cause people to take the mark of the beast, that no man may be able to buy or sell, save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. It all comes down to economics, Chris. If you don't have it, you can't buy and you can't sell.
But none of this can happen until the third Jewish temple is built. This is an artist's conception of how the temple would look built on the Haram al-Sharif. Already, the Jewish Sanhedrin has appointed the high priest, and everything has been prepared for the ritual of daily sacrifice to resume after almost 2,000 years. One thing is certain. According to Bible prophecy, the temple will be rebuilt, and both Jews and Christians are looking forward to that day.